So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to cover why buying subdivided land is a horrible, terrible idea if you're looking to take quality animals, quality deer off your property. So stay tuned. So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Robert, if this is your first time tuning in. So today, like I said in the intro, we're going to be covering why buying subdivided land is a terrible idea, especially if you're buying it to particularly hunt on these specific pieces of property. I'm going to give you some quick examples along the way as we are kind of doing a whole storytelling of everything that I'm seeing kind of happening in and around my county, other counties nearby, etc. But as hunting season is kind of approaching, I get a couple questions throughout the year, especially right now, and that's, hey Robert, do you think 10 acres is enough to, hunt, or enough to take a decent sized deer, or maybe just to take some does or whatever? Also, same thing for 20, 30 acres. People ask those questions. Now, what I'm going to be talking about may be differently from what you're experiencing in your state or county, but for me, particularly in this county, we're talking about subdivided land. We're talking about properties where investors will go in, they'll buy 200, 300, 400 acres, and they start dividing them up into 5, 10 acre little ranchettes. Then they post pictures on the internet or on the MLS, but they'll post pictures of these big, huge, 160, 150, 140, 130 class deer, and be like, hey, these deer have never been shot, it's been properly managed or whatever. But little does, an outsider know, those deer are not going to be lasting very long. If they are, once people start to move in, those deer are going to, tend to move and go elsewhere, usually to bigger ranches. Because I'll tell you kind of a quick example here. So we have some properties down here. It was probably about, 300 acres, 250 acres, something like that. They subdivided it and made 33 lots basically out of that property, which is sad to see, right? Nobody wants to see a bunch of land get disrupted like that. But the deer started moving. You started seeing more deer in a specific area. You started seeing less deer in that general area, etc. Same thing in some other properties. We've seen some deer that were, there was a lot of deer. Then all of a sudden it got subdivided. Now you see deer over here. Now you see less deer in that general area. And we'll kind of talk about it, elaborate a little bit more on it as we go along. But my point is, the MLS listings have all these wordings and verbiage and pictures of deer, and they're trying to target people who are not necessarily used to the country or understand how the biology, the habitat, and the environment affect deer. That's pretty much what they're trying to target. And like I said, once people start to move in, especially if you had a large property that had one owner, and now you're going to have that same property with 33 owners and their kids and friends and all that hunting on that piece of property, the hunting pressure has gone up tremendously. Those pictures that you saw when you purchased the property, those deer may no longer be there, or they may be shot by a neighboring 10 acre, 5 acre neighbor. Now in Texas, you're supposed to have 10 acres to hunt. 10.1 I think is what it is. But I know plenty of people who have 5 and they freaking hunt on it all day. So that's why I say 5 to 10 acres. Now, to kind of answer those questions that I get, is 10 acres enough to take a deer, nice quality deer? It is if you're in the right location. If you're in a subdivided property, again, a 300 acre ranch that was subdivided into multiple pieces, multiple owners, that's not a good idea. You're going to get 1, maybe 2 good years out of it, and then after that, it's going to go downhill. Again, you're going to have way too much pressure, way too many people hunting in a small area. It's like taking a deer lease for 300 acres and then throwing 33 hunters on that 300 acres. Like, it's just way too much freaking pressure. But again, when the agents are listing these properties, they're targeting hunters, hey, small hunting cabin, have the ability to go out your front back door and front or back door and hunt, etc. Which again, it'll work for people who are not looking for quality deer and trying to manage those deer. If you're just trying to hunt rabbits, yeah, you're probably going to have plenty of rabbits. They'll probably decrease in population, but they reproduce a little bit more quickly than a deer would. So again, those pictures, those listings for those small properties are very misleading. especially for people who aren't educated on wildlife management, etc. And for those of y'all who don't know, my degree is actually in biology. I took multiple classes, multiple courses at school and universities for wildlife management and biology. So I have a little bit of understanding of how all that stuff works. So that's why I have to kind of talk about it, because I get questions on it and people don't know better. You don't know what you don't know. And they think, you know, if I buy those 10 acres and, oh, I actually had somebody reach out to me. I was like, hey, I saw they had some big pictures of deer. And again, just asking questions, you find out that it's a subdivision that was divided into 30 plus properties, 20 plus properties. So yeah, the deer are not going to last there. They're not going to get to a mature age when you have that much hunting pressure in a small confined area. Now, if you're looking at 30 acres, 20 acres, or 10 acres, and you're surrounded by big neighbors, a couple 100,000 acres, and it just happens to be a random property that you found that is just selling, and it's not necessarily a subdivided property, you know, you're not going to have 30, 40 neighbors next to you, then yeah, the chances of killing a big deer, as long as you produce an environment that entices the deer to get to your area, maybe food plots, water, whatever they need to sustain themselves, you got a good chance of taking a good quality deer. But for those of you guys who are, again, looking at subdivisions that are, or subdivided land, the chances are going to be very, very low as time goes on, especially as the hunting pressure continues to increase as more and more people begin to move in. So I'll give you some examples of some of the things that I've seen. I have a neighbor, he has probably, I don't know, 600-700 acres. As soon as he found out that the other neighbor sold down the road from him, and they were going to be making 33 new lots, little ranchettes, he immediately high fenced his whole freaking property. Again, because he knew that the deer were going to be getting shot all the freaking time, because now you have potentially, right, 33 new hunters moving down the road less than a quarter mile, less than, I don't even think it was a quarter mile, it was less than that. But now you have introduced 33 potential hunters to a specific area. So that guy immediately, the rancher immediately high fenced his property, like as soon as I guess he found out. Another thing you're going to notice once you have these smaller properties is you're going to notice that the age of these bucks starts to come down, because people don't necessarily understand deer management or don't necessarily understand how to age a deer either. So you're going to get a lot of younger bucks instead of maybe older bucks than what you used to, because again, people are just buying these 5-10 acre properties with no real education. They're just kind of wanting to go out there and go hunt, which there's nothing wrong with that. But for those people who are looking to harvest quality deer every single year, that's not going to work for you when you have neighbors that are doing the complete opposite of you. I understand people buy it just to have a place to take their kids to go shoot does or deer, whatever. Again, this is a video that's mainly pertaining to people who are looking to have quality deer every single year, or at least trying to aim for that. Because a lot of people that watch my channel are hunters and typically looking for, you know, for some decent quality deer. So that's where these questions come from. I've also seen some neighbors down the road that also just started to sell their properties because they moved in. I want to say they were there for about a year or two, maybe basically a season or two, and immediately they saw these fish are jumping. They had in that listing, I remember the listing, they had put a whole bunch of bucks that were in that area, which these are some bucks that run around across multiple properties. But now they had subdivided that land and I brought in, I want to say, probably like 8 to 12 new trailer houses in that area. So now you have 8 to 12 new owners, new neighbors in that general area. And some of the people, of the owners, sold their properties back to get out of it, because they literally just came, they set up a deer blind and a deer stand, a deer stand and deer feeder, expecting to harvest quality deer. Then they find out, oh, it's not going to happen. There's too much noise for one. You have way too many things going on with tons of different neighbors. You have a lot of hunting pressure, and you have scent everywhere. You have people outside, kids playing around. The scent's going to be traveling, swirling, and all this and that. The big mature bucks are not going to be coming around. They want solitary, just quietness. They're going to find some of the most remote places where they can still get what they need, food and water. So they're going to be going through some bigger food plots and things like that. So again, I hope this helps some people out. Again, people that are asking questions, and don't be misled by those listings that are in subdivided areas. I've seen a lot of people that regret it. They regret buying it because they're buying it for the intention of hunting and not knowing that how the deer ecosystem kind of works. So I hope this was helpful. Hope it answers some questions. Again, without further ado, be careful, be good, take care, and God bless. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.